This is our town.
Welcome.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 186 of Value Town. I'm ChanmanV, he's Gaara, and BoarControl is back joining us once again to talk about Hearthstone meta news and maybe another game too. We'll see at the end. We'll definitely see. But how's everybody doing today? Or how's this week been for you guys?
So yeah, this week was going well until today. We lost in HG, but top 12 still pretty good. I'm happy overall, but of course a little sad after losing today.
Do you get anything for top 12? I mean, I don't know how the prize distribution is for global games.
Yeah, it's like something like $1,500 plus all those bits from the cheer system that Blizzard have introduced. So it's a decent amount of money for the tournament, which is good.
Yeah, that's not bad. Yeah, for 12th place, pretty good. Pretty good. Gar, how about you?
Just on the ladder grind. I'm playing my shaman deck against
yeah. Shaman's been good, man. I've played a little bit of it this week. After I finally just stopped playing the priest deck. I played the priest deck literally for almost 3 weeks now. So I decided to play something different. And so I was playing the shaman deck. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, global games is wrapping up. I mean, I guess we can start there a little bit. BlizzCon, the top 8 is going to be going to BlizzCon, and you know, like Boar said, you know, obviously didn't go well. Who ended up beating you guys?
Yeah, so Hong Kong beat us.
Hong Kong.
So they progressed. Yeah.
Wait, is Amaz on Hong Kong?
I mean, he's not on their team.
Oh,
Their main player is Blitzchung, if you might have heard of him.
I don't think I know Blitzstrong.
I know him.
Is he super good? Obviously, he must be.
I mean, he's good enough to be known.
Yeah, that's true. That says a lot if you're known, right? But Hong Kong. So it sounds like Hong Kong's going to be in the top 8. I think it might be. I don't know how many notable folks will be in the finals this year, which I don't know if that's going to be good for the global games itself. But I know US got eliminated by Singapore, which is like, oh my, that's such a stacked team. How can we not make the top 8? Saying he was supposed to pull through after last week. We talked to him, you know, give him a pep talk. But they didn't end up coming through, unfortunately. So
I think Satan used up all his wins in other tournaments.
Seriously, can't blame him, man. I don't know if I'd use my limited number of wins if I had them on global games. No, but
can't win it all.
Yeah, who's left here? So who's left? So the Singapore
Spain
beat the US
as well. Brazil beat Portugal earlier.
Bring it up
today to make it. And then Bulgaria, they qualified last week, beating the UK again.
I mean, where are you looking? Are you looking at the Battlefy brackets? Or
this is just memory.
Oh, jeez, man. Yeah.
They haven't updated stuff.
The memory doesn't do me any good. So
it's like if it's not on HS Replay, Boar has to like memorize it.
No, I mean, like it's hard. Like I can't even find an updated bracket, so I have to go to the freaking Battlefy brackets, you know, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't update the normal HG website.
Yeah,
it just has
just
nothing.
not there.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm trying to figure it out.
Progressed. Yeah. Taiwan won. They reverse swept. Yeah, I thought they were going to lose. They had to win Old Warrior versus Death Rattle Hunter at the start of that reverse sweep today.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Taiwan's definitely got some notable folks there, so that's going to be good. New Zealand? Do we know any big players from New Zealand? Any well-known players?
There's Patla, and then there's Mage as well. If you've heard of Mage, Mage is a rapid grinder.
Huge. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Mage obviously got really popular at the World Championships. Okay, where am I looking here? God, where's the whole group? There it is. Okay. Oh, China and Norway. Okay, Norway, and China obviously two big countries there.
Yeah, Ukraine notably getting knocked out there. They came second last time.
Oh yeah, Ukraine got knocked out by Switzerland. No, by Norway twice. Yeah. Ouch, that's brutal.
Oof.
Who's on Ukraine? It's Stan. Is it Stan and Kalento?
No, Stan's Russian is Kalento, Nyria, Old Boy, and Insane.
Oh my god, that's such a good team. Crazy. Okay, and then we got Spain and Brazil here. So we got South America and obviously Europe represented. And then lastly, we've got, so this is done now, huh? So they're finished now. Okay, so Bulgaria and Hong Kong. So we've got our, I guess, our top 8 for BlizzCon, which this year, again, like there's actually going to be a competitive event this time around, not just an invitational like last year. So that'll be, I think, a lot better for folks that are at BlizzCon just for Hearthstone, because last year I feel like Hearthstone had the least represented stuff. You know, like we had the expansion announcement, but that's just normal. But besides that, there wasn't that much to do there, to be honest. So this year will be definitely a lot better. So get ready for that. That's going to be in obviously what, a month, maybe 5 weeks. 5 weeks from now, BlizzCon. So we'll be talking about BlizzCon a little bit more as we go here. So how did you like global games this year, Boar? Like, I mean, last year it felt like a real big drag. I'll just be honest. Like I was bored to death by it last year. It was just a big old drag, I think, for me as a viewer. I know it was better for you guys. Obviously you were playing, but how do you compare this year to last year?
Yeah, so last year I wasn't on the team, unfortunately. But just from a viewer's perspective, there was just way too many games, too many things going on. It was kind of boring as well. And then playing as well, the format was a bit flippy. You remember last year you had the 2 decks and you would pick one into a random other person's deck.
Yeah.
That was awkward. But this year they reduced the number of games, made it a Swiss, which no one can disagree with having a Swiss in card game format, right?
Yeah.
And then they changed the format again. Now it's like a pick ban phase. The pick ban phase is really enjoyable, really skill testing.
Yeah, I like that.
I enjoy it a lot. We ban 1, pick 2, ban 2, etc. But then we have this next phase where we randomly queue our decks into their decks, a bit like in Conquest.
Yeah.
And that phase is the no, because there's you can lose a lot of percent there, and there's nothing you can do about it. Sometimes you just hit the odd boy into the hunter, and it just sucks. There's just nothing you can do, and that part really
RNG, man. You gotta add RNG to it too, right? Yeah, I don't see any benefits in that. Just like randomly throwing decks, it just totally removes the whole point of that aspect of the competition. So it seems pretty strange to have that element to it. Like you said, like one game, one match, that's a big portion of determining who the winner is, right? So yeah, but overall, it is better than last year, I would say. Definitely. I still think, I don't know, I still think it's like, I can't put a finger on it, like, but maybe it's just still too many games. I don't know. Like, Gaara, like, what do you think of the whole global games thing? Like, there's something that's not right about it, and I can't put a finger on it.
Okay, like I like to look at it from the competitive standpoint, and I know that most people have complained about the format. Like Boar said, it's like the RNG aspect, because we have 2 polarized matchups in Hearthstone, and it's like if you queue your Quest Rock in a Watt Warrior or something like that, it's like, and you have to win. I don't know. It's like impossible. That's like the worst part. This is, as soon as I see something like that, that's like such a big turnoff for me, because I know underdogs can beat favorite teams like USA, just because they get very good matchups. Like, it's Hearthstone. Like, it's no big surprise that if you play a 80-20 matchup that you can lose to almost everyone. So, and like you said, it's just too many games. And I like to compare it to Overwatch League, because I followed the first season of Overwatch League, and it was almost every day. I think 2 days were off.
Yeah, it was too much.
It was still super interesting though, because the production was ridiculous. I think for Overwatch League, and like the pre-show was also super fun to watch. I think there was a lot of hype. I think it was, if you want to make it, it has to be so hype, right? Like the production has to be so good. It has to be easy to follow. Like you really have to do it like fun to follow, right? In a way, that you wanna follow it. Yeah, and maybe it's a little bit too boring, It's like too many games, and the format is not great, unfortunately. Like, you want to see the good people win, right, against like much weaker teams, right? Like, if you know this team is like 3 of the best players in the world, and they're playing against like very unknown players, I don't want to like discredit people that could be good players, but on average, the better team should win, right? Because they also like prepare probably a lot, have like super good strategy, and then you see them getting like destroyed by the RNG aspect of the matchups. That's why I don't like it. Like, as soon as I heard the format, I didn't want to follow it, because that will decide so many series.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you. The format wasn't the best, but I don't know. I just think you're a little bit onto something when I think you said that Overwatch League was so hyped. Just every single broadcast felt like
look. A good counterexample is there's like a lot of Chinese tournaments that are not even. It do not have like an English host, but you see those funny clips.
And they're just
you just watch it, you don't understand it, but they do funny, random, stupid stuff, and you just watch it because it's super hilarious.
Well, I mean, so you're talking about the energy, yeah, sure. I mean, but I feel like that's because we haven't seen it before. Like if we saw the same thing every single week, then we might not react as much to it. But definitely the energy level in the broadcast isn't the same as like an HCT event for sure. And I don't know if it's because of the who's actually casting and hosting. It's not the same crew, obviously. But also, you know what? I kind of wish that there was just an element of, a captain of the team. Like the captains of the team don't really play much of a role except for they're just called captains. You know what I mean? Like I wish there was a way to just like put somebody in the forefront and have them have to play for something, like an anchor or something like that. There's an element to that so that we could get the notable people from each country to actually, kind of spearhead that, right? And kind of draw some interest to it. Because right now, like you could call out some countries and I have to actually think to, like when you said Ukraine, it's like, okay, I have to remember that, okay, yeah, Kalinta's part of Ukraine, and Naria's part of Ukraine, so it'd be nicer if we just, I think, were able to really highlight, who these notable people are from the countries and have them, have that element into the format too. So, yeah, maybe if they could do that next year, have just a little bit more of that because, the team thing is cool, but at the same time, I think everybody has viewers and somewhat to society. One thing that I was watching over the weekend was this whole Tiger Woods thing. And like, Tiger Woods, everybody in the sports world just like, wanted him to win, because he's just this magnanimous superstar. And I think, we kind of want a little bit, a tiny bit of that, I would say in Hearthstone, and we don't really have that, at least in this team competition, because it's just like, okay, it's about your country, and then, like no individualism at all. So I think it's missing a little bit of that. They could probably try to bring that in, but we'll see how it ends. I think it'll be really cool to see if maybe a lot of Chinese fans show up at BlizzCon or something, or it's just one of the countries well represented at BlizzCon, and we see some crazy national pride at the at the finals.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, let's see. What else should we? Let's move on to some just kind of general news with Hearthstone. Maybe some things that are going on. We mentioned the Tavern Brawl last week, right? That they were having the new one, and I finally got a chance to play it because there was quests that made me play. I basically had to play 5 of them, right, for 500 gold. So yeah, definitely played it. So I want to get your opinions. Which did you guys play it at all? And then which Death Knight was the best for you guys?
Yeah, I played it a bunch. I tried some different Death Knights, and after losing to Mage so many times in a row,
yeah,
I was like, I was going to play the Mage.
Me too.
They give you so many 1 health guys, and it's like turn 1, they play a 1 health guy, turn 2, ping it. Oh, my face is frozen for the whole game. Everything's.
Well, what I love is the Mage versus Mage, where nobody plays anything for like the first 5 turns, because nobody wants to have any situation that there's a pinged water elemental there.
Yeah.
God, that's so funny. I had the same experience too. Gar, how about you? Did you play it all? You didn't play it at all? God. I tried. What did I try? I tried Malfurion a couple times, and then I played Paladin a few times. And like you said, I think I won 1 and I lost like 4 or 5, and just to mages. So I just said, screw it, I'll play mage, and I won like 7 in a row with the mage. So
yeah, I tried Uther. But the guy just has an ooze in his deck, and I was like, "Well, there goes my OP weapon."
yeah. But Uther's nice because you have another win condition with Uther, right? So that's the one good thing about it. But I thought Malfurion was going to be good, and then all of a sudden I'm like, no, Malfurion sucks. Like for me, pretty bad here. So
yeah, Gul'dan's decent as well, I think. Like,
oh really? Okay, I didn't try him.
Just he's a better version of Malfurion, basically, because there's just both hero powers in one, right?
Yeah, that's true. I haven't played Valeria. I wanted to play Valeria and see if just copying cards was okay. But the cards you get are just like random, right? Like just it's a different deck every time you play. So No telling what you're going to get from that. But anyways, yeah, Tavern Brawl's fun, guys. Just definitely play it, and I'm sure we'll be posting some stats on HS Replay or the Twitter account. So follow that HSReplay.net if you haven't already, because I know Tiago posts those. I think on when does he post them? On Monday or Tuesday? Okay. Next thing. Oh, this is kind of like a random thing, but so there was an announcement that there's going to be a Hearthstone pop-up book. Or there is a Hearthstone pop-up book. No, on November 6th, that's going to be available. So, really playing on the lore of Hearthstone, I guess that's not World of Warcraft, I guess Reno Jackson and, just everything else. But I don't know. What do you guys just think of overall, just Hearthstone and lore and them building, different types of products and media lines off of it?
Is this an official product by Blizzard, or is this like a fan made?
No, it's made by God, I forget what the company's called. There's a company that's basically publishing it, but Blizzard's in on this partnership. So
okay.
Yeah. So I don't think it's like, oh, they got approval. I think Blizzard's actually a partner in all of this. So this is the first time we're seeing this, right? We've seen some comic books, right? We're seeing this kind of Overwatch element to it that they were, they kind of started with Overwatch. So we've seen a couple comics from Boomsday, and then we saw obviously the animation, like the short animation, and then now we're going to see a pop-up book. So yeah, overall, what do you guys think of this? Do you think there's even a future for this type of thing for Hearthstone? Like, will we be watching or reading comics of any of this stuff?
I'm trying to think like how because Hearthstone originated from Warcraft.
Yeah, World of Warcraft. It's totally
the Warcraft.
Yeah.
At some point, and now how would you even make like a Hearthstone lore? I couldn't not even remotely imagine that. Like a story like this. They started doing these videos, right?
Yeah.
With the girl in the tavern.
Yeah.
But it's more like book related stuff. Man, it's so hard to imagine. More like just merchandise.
Yeah. I definitely. I don't know if there's like very much depth to any of these stories yet. I haven't actually seen it yet. Maybe there is this like lore that we just don't know about for whatever reason.
Because every expansion is so different from the other one, completely different team.
Yeah.
How would the story even look in Hearthstone?
I don't know. And
so the hero.
Anyways, it's kind of curious, right? Like I'm not sure where they're going with that, but generally, I think Blizzard, Activision making, pop-up books and hopefully graphic novels and maybe eventually more movies. I think that's great. Like I hope they continue doing it. I just don't know if Hearthstone is the right IP to be doing it with or not. But anyways, it's hopefully something telling for the future in terms of them doing more of it. Let's see, next bit of thing here. I guess we'll say the meta polls for a second here. Let's talk EU versus China because that's coming up, right? That's like starting like this week, I believe.
It's already just started today.
Today.
Yeah.
And one of the things with EU versus China. Well, first off, EU versus China. Those NA versus China. Basically, it's always just something versus China because it's always organized and produced by Chinese company over there. They always end up being very compelling because it's always crazy, well-known lineup, and they go against each other, and it's definitely a lot of fun, a lot of money. There's like a ton of prize money. It's usually one of the top ones, I think, for the year, especially for third parties. It's maybe the top one. But yeah, so you guys looking forward to this event? The lineups?
Yeah, it's always the production's always insane for these events. It's crazy. Like I was watching it today, and the camera appears, and you see this Aston Martin, and the camera goes up, and there's two players on this huge stage. Yeah, and then they have these huge images of the players with their decks, and then like when you go into game, they have a quest. They have a quest counter. They show the secrets. They show the fatigue counter on the decks. It's like everything you could ever want from a Hearthstone production in these Chinese events. It's amazing.
And I really want the person who ends up winning to pick the car. Because
wait, do they win a car?
You win an Aston Martin if you get first place. What? If you want it.
Oh, damn.
Like they had a Ferrari every year.
Is it normally a Ferrari? God, man, have I not how have I not realized this? I always thought it was just like 100,000 or something like that. Like 50.
No one ever takes the car. That's the thing.
Of course not, because you have to pay the freaking taxes on it. Who has the cash to pay the taxes on a freaking Ferrari? So, yeah, that totally makes sense. But that's cool, man. You see that kind of glitz and hype. That's the kind of stuff we need. You know what I mean? To really bolster up, like, or get some hype behind an event. Unfortunately, it's a Chinese event, so it's like in the middle of the night, and it's a little bit hard for some of us over in NA to watch. But so you think it's gonna win between EU and China?
I like Orange and Hunter Ace, their strategy overall. Orange took the win today. He was 2-0 down, managed to reverse sweep the Secret Hunter.
Nice.
So it's a good start for him. I have to, he's my favorite.
Pick China. Pick China.
No, I can't. Especially like, man, like lately, Orange and Hunter Race, their tournament performance in this year.
Yeah.
It's just, I would say they're the favorite to win, no matter what.
So no matter what, yeah.
It's a safe bet to go with them.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree. Definitely would not disagree. One cool thing too, by the way, guys, is that you'll notice that you were able to watch it on Tice's channel this morning, and that was like brand new. Like literally, Tice threw this together, I think, within 36 hours, I believe.
Yeah.
And grabbed Gia and Nyria just to cast and be able to put it on a stream. So really awesome of Tice to do that, just because this is an event, like you said, super hype, super awesome to be able to watch it, and not having an English broadcast is definitely going to hurt people's or not make people really want to watch it. So it's going to be awesome to be able to watch on the channel all the time. But so anyways, check it out, guys. Watch the VOD if you haven't. I'm going to definitely watch the VOD to see this intro, because I'm really excited to see this crazy start of the tournament. But what's the format again? It's like best of 5, but is there any special aspect to it? I forget, like in terms of banning and decks and stuff.
It's just the normal stuff, best of 5 of the ban, conquests, standard stuff, and then just groups into, I'd imagine, single elim top 8.
Okay. Cool. Good deal then. All right. So let's see. Next thing. I'm telling you, we're just gonna be moving through stuff this today. There is a little bit of a slow week, in terms of just not much going on. Like no HCT events and not much. So let's talk about the meta. Like kind of like what we always do, meta pulse here. We can take a look at the rankings. Actually, let's go to the power rankings in the class popularity. So popularity wise, not too much of a change. I mean, Priest just continues to go up a little bit, tiny bit at a time, and then Paladin, pretty much the seller class at this point. Nobody wants to play Paladin anymore. And then Warrior, a little bit of ups and downs, but I think we're pretty much settling, in terms of like how people are playing stuff. A little bit of a change at the top. Sometimes it's like Warlock, sometimes it's Druid, sometimes it's Hunter. But I think those top 4 are pretty much solid at this point. So first off, I guess popularity. Any surprises with this? I mean, you guys think that one of these classes, should be higher, or surprised it's so low?
I think the biggest change to last week was Rogue. I think Rogue was in bottom 3 in power rankings. And this week it's back to where it belongs.
Yeah, Rogue was like 7, I think. Yeah, it was like number 7. But it was like 49 something at number 7, like look at those middle 5, right? They're all super close to each other. I mean, even like up to 2 to 7 are just 1.5% like off of each other. So it's very normalized. I mean, it's just placement more than anything else. But Hunter took the number 1 spot this week, which isn't surprising. Like, I've definitely been seeing a lot more of your Secret Hunter.
It's mostly Secret Hunter, right?
Yeah. And then Druid, of course, still. I saw a ton of Azalina Druids. I was like telling you, Gaara, like over Skype or whatever, that, man, I played at one point, like 8 out of 10 games were like against Azalina Druid. I'm just like, oh, kill me. Just kill me now. Like,
it used to be a lot of Manny Druid, but now it seems to be a Mill and Taunt Druid. And then Token was really popular when the new Strong Shovel came out, and then that started to drop off again because Evenlock was on the rise after Show got rank 1 legend with it.
Right.
So it seems to be like people are just swapping around between all these Druid and War.
And now we're back to Togwaggle.
Yeah. Back to Togwaggle. So Yeah, you're getting all these games. I don't know if you're watching Twitter. Somebody would post, "Oh yeah, I switched decks 10 times in this game, with this guy or whatever." It's like, Jesus, crazy. But yeah, a lot of that. I feel like just people are, I hate to say it, but we've kind of been in this meta for a while now, and people are just trying to play the most interesting deck. And I think Azalina and Togwaggles and like even the Priest deck. I mean, I think those are the most interesting decks right now, and it's Shaman deck too. Shaman deck's pretty fun too. But there's not much that's very different, at this point. Unless Boar, I mean, you're definitely one of the innovators. I mean, anything you found like recently that's, maybe have a lead there in terms of coming up with something?
The most innovative I've gotten is I changed some of the secrets in Secret Hunter because people were getting playing around the secrets a bit too much. Yeah. So we put in a couple of snipes. That gets the quest rogues when they play their Sonias sometimes.
Yeah.
Gets the Dream Petal Florist from the Mildred. That's the best moment because then they can't combo you. It's it's fun when that happens.
Okay.
But, nothing really new with the deck archetypes. There's just...
It doesn't even have too many minions to play into snipe.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that there is stuff out there though? It's just because there's just so many good. I mean, there's already just so many solid archetypes out, or just decks right now, that people don't even bother like trying things. I mean, do you think it's been tried out, or you think there's still some things that are out there, but just it's not even worth discovering because things are so good right now?
I mean, there's decks like Mech Paladin really aren't that bad.
Yeah.
Not quite there. There's a couple of mechs away, maybe in the next expansion or something we could see. Just something with more attack, because all these mechs have such high health and low attack. They just need something that can hit face, really, with some sort of power. Like it's close, but I don't think it's just not quite there for Paladin at the moment.
We have like these 3 strong archetypes, like dominant archetypes, which are like anti-aggro, anti-control, and aggro. And the most refined top tier deck of each archetype is too powerful. Like we have Questroke as anti-control and Togwaggle Druid, and to come up with like another anti-control deck that can compete with those is almost impossible. And for aggro we have Token Druid, Secret Hunter, Odd Rogue, and Zoo. And to have like an aggro deck that beats any of those is like almost it's impossible. And the same with anti-aggro. To have a better anti-aggro deck than Baku Warrior right now, like I tested so much, is also impossible. You have to play like a Secret Hunter, like which is like hybrid, and that's the problem, right? As soon as you build, like, let's say, Control Paladin, you just get demolished by Questroke and like even the Hunter and like all of the decks, and that's why it's so hard. I was so shocked by the big priest that emerged. Yeah. I'm still not sure if that is actually a good deck, though.
I think it is a good. You don't think it's a good deck, Boar?
Rank 1 twice. But apparently it's only him doing well with the deck. I don't know.
You don't like it, Boar? I think it's actually pretty good.
It's not terrible at all. It has quite strong matchups where it can get the board. It's really, really good. But like I found that it's just too weak against the aggressive strategies. The Hunter, the Rogue, the Zoo, the Secret Mage. I find I'm just dying too fast, and then the win rate isn't high enough in the other matchups. It's almost like a worse version of Questroke almost in this sense. It's not quite good enough in the other matchups to compensate. I mean, the deck's decent. I imagine it might see some play with a ban maybe in tournaments. Like it's fine for ladder, but I think at like the highest ranks at the end of the season, maybe not there.
Yeah. I mean, there definitely your mulligans and what you start with are huge. Feel swingy, right? Like if you can get the Spirit Lashes with the Thalanos, then I mean there's a huge difference in how your games are going to go against more of the aggressive decks. But I don't know, it might be just the fun aspect of it that clouds me a little bit, because there's plenty of Lyra plays. There's when you get Zarek down, it's like definitely a lot of fun, and where to figure out how to when and where to play the Spellstones. It's cool, but I don't know. Like I definitely feel the dynamic aspect of the deck, and usually that's a sign that the deck is good. In terms of having enough breadth that people with a lot of skill can maneuver much better than other folks. So Asmo got #1 with it, but he still seems to be 2 times. Yeah, I mean, so I don't know if it's still a matter of how many games did you play with it, Boar?
I played like 10 or 20 games of it.
Come on, dude. 10 or 20 games is nothing. I mean, 10 or 20 games. I lost like 15 out of those 20 games when I first played.
Same.
It took me about like 40 games to get how to play this deck. Yeah, so maybe it takes like a certain threshold to learn all the little lines, but that's definitely a lot of fun. So here's a question to you guys. You kind of laid out the 3 different types of decks right now, Gaara, and I think you're completely accurate with it. So is the issue that we don't actually have mid-range decks now, or like aggro now has been like slid over a little bit towards mid-range, right? It's not like the crazy face decks that we used to have. So I mean, is a lack of a mid-range type of meta, where having some element of the meta be in the mid-range area, like a reason for the crazy polarization we have right now?
It has like multiple reasons. But like I said, there's also no control decks. I think the DKs kind of kill the control, and also archetype in general, just the infinite value. You play Rexa, you have infinite value, and I think that mid-range decks, it's just like we have like these hybrid decks that cover so many different matchups. Like let's say Togwaggle Druid, right? It is an anti-control deck, but it does so well versus mid-range decks as well, and it does well against aggro decks. And like the most anti-control deck in the game, which is Queststroke, does also well versus aggro decks. It's like that we have these ultra archetypes, like they just cover everything. Like these
move your mic a little closer.
Like the best anti-aggro deck that we have right now is Odd Warrior, but it only beats aggro, nothing else. And it sometimes even doesn't even beat aggro. Like if you face against Secret Hunter, they play Rexa, you can easily lose to that. So I think the best decks in the game are just too strong overall. Like they should have a weakness. Like for example, Queststroke should lose significantly more to aggro than it does. Like it shouldn't even be a debate if Queststroke is favored versus Token Druid. If we think about it, like objectively, that's
fundamentally seems
that we even have to have the discussion who's favorite, Token Druid or Queststroke. Like Queststroke should get demolished by Token Druid, but unfortunately it doesn't. Because I think in that particular matchup, the problem is like Token Druid used to play Living Mana, and then you could just blow it out with Vanish, and now you can replay the Wisps and stuff. But we have 2 strong decks that should be nerfed. I think nerfs is definitely what we need in the game right now.
We're not going to have any. But we're not going to have any. So that's all right. Let's talk about that. So I mean, we talked about it a little bit last week. Saiyan didn't say too much about it because Saiyan's just a nice guy. So, but Boar, thoughts? No,
I'm not a nice guy.
No nerfs. No nerfs. Oh man, no nerfs until the expansion in December.
It's disappointing.
Yeah,
it's not just about nerfs. It's just about freshening up the meta. We've seen the last.
Wait, hold up. They confirmed it till next expansion, no nerfs.
Well, they didn't say that, but I mean, there's no nerfs. I mean, they basically said they're happy with the meta, and I mean, they're watching, giggling, right? We went through this last week. So
yeah, that's actually crazy.
I mean,
if you think about it, that's absolutely insane. That's such a long time.
Yeah, I mean, we were only a third of the way through this expansion. Like we're a little bit past a third now. So we're talking like a long time before we see some actual new changes in the meta, unless somebody comes up with something brand new that shakes up everything, which I highly doubt.
From a competitive standpoint, because of Queststroke, the metagame really isn't going to shift that much. This is why there's no mid-range decks, because you either are the deck that beats Queststroke as the aggro deck, or you're the control deck trying to beat the aggro decks because there's too many aggro decks for the Queststroke. It's just what is there more of? Are there more Queststrokes? You play aggro. More aggro, you play control. More control, you play Queststroke.
Yeah.
It's a fairly solved system here, and we're going to be stuck in this. We've had this Queststroke meta twice before when it previously got nerfed twice, and it's really just dull as a player because especially ladder becomes quite polarized at the high ranks, and it's just difficult to find anything. And this is why a nerf to Quest, not because it's OP, because it really isn't OP. The meta is fairly stable and it's fine. It's not that if you just face too much of it, you play aggro. It's just the fact that it means you can't play anything else. Like all the decks, like big Spell Mage and other control decks, are just dead in the water, which is really kind of annoying that they could change it, but they don't. Yeah, and if Quest Rogue's still going to be a thing after the expansion, right? The next one, are they ever going to change it again?
Yeah. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they'll sneak one in here before BlizzCon. I mean, I don't.
Might actually be stronger than now.
I don't think so.
Most likely.
Yeah.
Any card, basically, that is decent for the deck will make it stronger.
I mean, I think there's also an issue with just, you know, we've kind of been feeling the same types of decks now for months. You know, like for about 4 or 5 months now. It's been a very balanced, you know, type of meta where we see all the classes distributed. So it just remove Quest Rogue from all this. Like, let's just say Quest Rogue didn't exist, and we still had all these other decks that are going, you know, that are going on here. You know, the next expansion probably won't change that much of this, right? Unless we actually add very, very, very powerful cards, like on the level of DKs, on the level of quests. So you mentioned Paladin. No, you know, the mech Paladin's almost there. Let's just say we add a few mechs. Like, what is that going to do, you know, for the most part? It's going to add, okay, that one deck, you know, and, you know, what else, you know? So I guess my question to you is just that I feel like this year has been more of a, you know, more, I would say from a power level, definitely less power, you know, and I think starting off the year with Witchwood, I felt like that was a good thing, you know, just to kind of dial back the power. But you know, after Boomsday, you know, I'm actually not sure that's the case anymore, you know, in terms of whether this is actually good for Hearthstone or not. So thoughts on that? Like, I mean, what do we need for the next expansion? Like, do you like this kind of power level that they've been having with the first 2 expansions? And I mean, what do we really need from the next expansion to really, you know, get things going again?
I think they have to continue now with the power level because they committed to it.
Yeah.
If they would now do something like introduce DKs or something crazy quests, I don't know, like some new crazy effect, then they kind of wasted the last 2 expansions. Because I think that was the whole point of the last 2 expansions, to tone down the power level of cards for the next rotation. And if they would do it now, introduce like Jades or whatever, it would mess up the game for another 2 years again. I think they have to do it at this point. So,
So you're expecting another pretty low power level expansion in December?
Yeah, I would be shocked if they go like the complete opposite this time. It doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you have like so low power level in the last 2 expansions and then go back to the whole broken stuff? I don't know. Like, but every time you expect something logical, they surprise us.
Good and bad, right? I mean, it's kind of they've had surprises from both elements. How about you, Boar? Like, what do you think?
Yeah, when we look at the current decks in the metagame and compared to that previous expansion as well, we have a lot of decks that are kind of based around their hero's Death Knight. So we have this Control Priest deck that hasn't changed in like expansions because it's just Anduin and the Mind Blast. And all I can really see future expansions doing is just adding to these decks. Like, there's not going to, unless they're printing some busted stuff, they're not going to create a new archetype for Priest, which isn't around controlling the board and having this Anduin as a win con, right? And then I see similar ways for like Druid. We saw Mildred got buffed a bit just rather than the Florist. This is all I'm really thinking that's going to happen is the existing archetypes, unless they're putting new DKs or something that can compete on the power of a Death Knight, they're just going to be slight improvements to these current decks, and we're going to end up with a very similar metagame, unless, of course, there's nerfs coming in.
Right. So, I mean, you're basically saying cruise control until next year, right? Until the retiring of the DKs. And
something that I predict, one card is that it's going to be a DK, because what they did in the last 2 expansions is introduce 1 DK. Like,
well, not DK, but you mean hero.
Well,
hero card. Yeah.
Okay, a hero card. Yes, it was Dr. Boom last expansion and Hagata the expansion before that. So I'm 95% confident they will introduce 1 hero card.
Okay, so which one is it going to be? What class, guys?
Not going to be for Warrior and not going to be for Shaman.
We see how Dr. Boom made the whole of Odd Warrior viable now. So if they could do that, they could do that for any class and just give them a new viable archetype, right?
Yeah, it's a
What if
that's how to do
it. Was insane for Shaman and Dr. Boom insane for Warrior, so any DK.
So all of the, for the most part, right, every single hero has been control oriented, like long game value oriented, right? What if we get a hero that's like completely aggro oriented? Get it on turn 1, you play it on turn 1 or play it on turn 2. I mean, something different, right? Because if we get what if we have 9 classes with crazy huge value, long game type of heroes? That's terrible. Like that's very, very bad. So I think that we need something like that, right? Something completely different.
I really like the hero card Thrall, because that card had a powerful battle cry, and its hero power really it's decent, but it's not ridiculous value generating every turn. That's more of an aggro oriented one, and that seems to be more of the theme that like I would like to see them go along with, where it's not just play this card and you have an extra card drawn for the rest of the entire game, and suddenly we're going to fatigue because of this one card, and if you don't draw it, then you can't go to fatigue, and it's a bit up in the air. I'd rather just see more powerful effects when they're immediately played and less long-term power on the cards.
Okay, that's fair.
That would
be
super cool. I wonder like how low you can go in mana cost. Like the Thrall was like the cheapest one. How would like 1 mana decay, 2 mana decay look like?
I mean, it would have to like wipe the board, or at least, or put something on the board.
2 damage,
right?
really.
It would have to put something on the board, right?
And get a 2 damage hero power.
The closest thing we had was like, can you remember Morgul, the 1/3 Murloc that changed your hero power? You discovered the new hero power.
Yeah.
It could be something like that, quite cheap, I think. All you would do is just discover a hero power, and you could get something which was like deal damage, or nothing like discover a card, rather draw a card or damage or make a mini or something, right?
Yeah, you're talking about Inquisitor, right? That's.
Oh, rather than Inquisitor as well. But I was talking about. Can you remember what was it called? It was in League of the Explorers. 1 mana, 1/3 Murloc. Everyone had it in their Dragon Boy.
Finley, right?
The Finley, that one.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, right. Yeah, that's true. I think that would be much better, from a power level standpoint, and it would be from the standpoint of aggro, right, versus this crazy control. But I think you are right. They're going to come out with 1 hero per expansion from here on out, and kind of, I guess, slowly add that element to it. What class? I mean, I'm trying to think of what class really, really needs it. Probably Priest, right? Priest. I mean, they seem to be the most lacking in the type of decks that they can build right now.
Yeah, maybe they could print a card which reduced their hero power to 0.
That
in theory, Priest is actually the most archetypes like viable semi-viable.
How? Like
you have the top-seed Turvy deck. What does that deck need to actually be decent? Most availability?
Aggro not to exist. I mean that's like your classic combo deck weak to aggro. That's how life should be, right? That's the circle of Hearthstone life, right? It's supposed to be like that. But, so
or like Shadowwalk Shaman. I think Shadowwalk Shaman is a great example. If you someone mentioned, I think it was Casey. It is a deck with like it should be a guaranteed win condition. Like when you get to the point with 38 bad cards in it. Like every card in Shadowwalk Shaman sucks. Every Shaman's card sucks, but the win condition is ultra mega powerful. And that's how not like Talkwalker Druid, where every card is like best in slot in the game, and you have the best win condition at the end.
Well, I mean that you're talking about like Baku decks and Gen decks too, man. It's a bunch of bringing back a bunch of questionable cards, but because the hero power is so damn good, it ends up being okay.
Yeah, it should be a drawback.
I know. I agree. I definitely agree.
And and like the strongest deck like Quest Rogue and they don't feel like they have a big drawback.
Yeah. Okay, well let's talk about take a look at maybe the top 5 decks in the last 24 hours here. And dude, there's one that like, wow, like the left one, I didn't actually know that this was gonna
bug?
No, it's actually from what I saw, it's actually real. So I think maybe it's just this moment. So I don't know. There's definitely over 400 games on it, so somebody's playing it. But
there is one really good guy.
Yeah. So I don't know. This could be just a complete aberration, like for now. But You know, the Mecha Warlock seems to be crazy. The other four seem to be like what we would expect, right? So,
except Even Shaman, maybe. Like, I have not faced an Even Shaman in like 5 years.
Yeah, I think the Even Shaman's not at the, you know, definitely not at Top Legend so much, but more in the, I would say, rank 1 through 4. You know, we would definitely see Even Shamans show up in the top tier of maybe the bottom of the top tier 1, you know, in those ranks. But Secret Hunter obviously is pretty much every rank. Odd Rogue, yeah, always there, right? And then Death Rattle Hunter somewhere in the same area. So nothing too different in the actual, you know, like the decks themselves. Nothing too, you know, there's like that snipe that Boar just told. There's definitely one snipe in that Secret Hunter there. A rat trap too. You just throw in some curveballs. You know, why not, right?
It would be so funny if it would show exactly the same secret Boars running.
I wasn't playing Rat recently, but I like Rat occasionally. If you're facing lots of druids, yeah, it catches them by surprise.
Oftentimes you just can't play around it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quest Rogue as well. Oh, 6/6 on turn 2. I've had that before.
Yeah, 6/6 turn 2. Wow, that's good stuff. Definitely good stuff. But yeah, try out these decks. You know, obviously go to HSReplay.net, find your you know, best deck for you, rank region. You can obviously sign up for premium and be able to pick just whatever time frame and rank and even server that you're on just to figure out exactly what you should be playing. And I'm telling you right now, you will climb very quickly if you do it. You know, if you're playing exactly the deck that's going to give you, you know, really good matchups. Yeah. Boar will tell you will win events doing it, so it's like it's a little different. Okay, so anyways, we'll move on from here and talk a little. We'll talk about Zalae's video here, but before we do, I want to give a shout out to our patrons, the folks that support the show, keep the show going, of course, and these are the folks that you know, have been supporting for a long time now. So if you want to go help us out, throw a pledge at patreon.com/valuetown. You'll see a bunch of posts too. Like we do deck of the weeks like each week. So suggest a deck for you guys to play, and we try to discuss whenever we can get a show together on Mondays too. But some of the longtime supporters, of course, is Mike T, our legendary producer, and then we've got Raydan, Bryce L, Farron F, Chris Chilmaw, Blake T, Eric L, Jackpot 777, Feldy Locks, Gary D, Alex G, Anticrisis, Gotrix 2, and Jacob P. So that's just to name a few, you know, and you know, we'll get to you if you guys haven't heard your name in a while. We try to get just, you know, maybe about 10, 15 of them each week. But really appreciate you guys, and yeah, if you enjoy the show, just think about that. Okay, so let's talk about Zalae's video, and this is I don't know, it's kind of like a video. I mean, we've been calling and talking about some of the things, obviously, just about what, you know, what issue with the game is, what what's needed. So Zalae made a video that I think all three of us checked out and made some really good points. You know, besides the things that we've talked about so far, what are some of the things that you think is worth discussing here in terms of some of the things Zalae brought up?
The most important thing, I think, is at the end of the video where he basically talks to the community to also do videos about what they do not like about the game, because he mentioned that this is what Blizzard said in the post, is that they are listening to the community, or they want to listen to the community. They're listening to feedback, and that was the reason why he made the video. He said it like, all right, here's my feedback. This is how I think about the game. He's one of the most respected best players. Mm-hmm. And he made a very good video with very good points. I disagreed with like one or two things. And like where he said Lich King RNG is good RNG, or it's like fine RNG. I disagree with that because it's game-winning RNG. But overall, a very well made video, definitely worth to check it out, like 100%. And he has good points, and it's very interesting that he wants to be part of the solution, you know, not part of the problem.
Well, I mean, he's trying to, yeah, I mean, he's listening to exactly what Blizzard is saying, and he's trying to, you know, present the feedback in a very, you know, clear manner too, right? So
yeah, he's very objective. Like he's not just talking from his perspective, just generally speaking. And this is, I think, how you should make these videos. Yeah, this is how I also like to do these videos. Just look from both sides. Like if you talk about Oddrock versus Spark Warrior, look from both perspectives. Mm-hmm. Look also like Quest Rogue versus Tempo Mage, and you know, all these kind of things. And I think the biggest point is what he said is it's boring. Like playing these super polarized matchups, it's not fun. I think the most important thing about a game in its core is that it's fun. The game should be fun. Like any game should be fun. Else you don't want to play the game, right? If the game is boring, you don't want to play the game. And these polarized matchups are boring. And I think this is the #1 point. It's not fun to play. So please make it more fun.
Go ahead, Boar.
Yeah, he makes excellent points. Like as Gaara was saying there about the fun aspect, like we know that Prince Keleseth might not be in the top deck, but when you play against a deck and they play Prince, it's really just not fun to play against them. That game against Zoo with Prince, suddenly your AoEs don't kill their minions, and it's because they happen to get the card on 2. And it really, like, even though overall, if you play the game 100 times, you're probably going to be favored. The games where they get Prince just aren't fun, and it's more about that aspect that he touched on, which I want to echo, rather than because they're saying they're not nerfing cards because the meta's in a good state, but it's more about why certain things happen more than just looking at the raw numbers, which I think Blizzard might be focusing on too much.
Yeah, and I mean, he also made the point that, you know, when games are decided before the games even start, you know, I think he emphasized that too. Like, you know, we talked about it for the last couple weeks now, where, you know, people would say, well, I suck at this deck, but I still was winning. You know what I mean? Like, I suck at Quest Rogue, but I was still winning, you know, and I think when you have a lot of, or you have decks like that, then clearly it's so polarized that it really is. It's really determined, no matter what your skill level is, you're just going to win that matchup, you know, even if you're playing against the best pro in the world, you know, type of thing. And so, you know, I think he's right on with that. When you're using the B word, the boring word, I mean, that is as impactful as the other B word, balance, right? So, I mean, boring is not what you want to hear, like, as a game developer designer. And I mean, I feel like that should be as high priority, you know, as the game being in balance. You know, like if it's boring, then that's terrible. Like that's actually probably one of the things equally as powerful as it being imbalanced that make people not play the game anymore, right? So maybe even more powerful, to be honest. If you're not having fun playing it, then, you know, that's definitely a bad thing. So so the thing with the Lich King, I want to bring this up, the Lich King, because I kind of agreed with him. I don't actually mind the Lich King, like, because I never feel, I mean, of course there are some games every once in a while that, you know, I get the right thing and it just, you know, whether it's like a coil or I don't know, just something that just gives me like lethal, it works out. But for the most part, it doesn't. Like, you know, Army of Darkness comes and I'm just like, shit, man, I don't want to play this card. You know, like there's a lot of dead cards I get from Lich King. And so, you know, there is that kind of RNG, but it's not crazy high roll RNG. You know, it doesn't feel nearly as bad. And it's kind of like Ysera, you know, like I think Ysera was always like a really great card too, you know, and the fact that there's RNG to it, but not every card actually is playable and valid for you when you get it. So, you know, tell me why you don't like Lich King, because
I think it's like, I want to talk about it first, because like, I played so much Big Spell Mage, and this was like one of the last remaining control decks.
Yeah, I played a bunch too.
Before it got killed this expansion. Like you play these long dragged out games, and you have to like you utilize every resource like perfectly, and then to lose to a Lich King, like the thing with Lich King is it has good stats. I think it has the best stats in the game for 8 mana, if I'm not mistaken. The only comparable minion is Tyrion. It is like a 6/6 Divine Shield Taunt, which you can low-key like compare to Lich King stats. So it has excellent stats for 8 mana. It's a good card. And then you need to have an answer for it, right? And then it will provide the opponent a card where you have no counterplay for it, and you have no information what he will get. And against Mage specifically, Anti-Magic Shell is so ridiculously powerful. And it's most of the time game-winning, even if you're like super far ahead. And it's just so frustrating to lose against it. It's just so, like, it feels like your opponent doesn't deserve to win. When you're like winning and you're like setting up the win over multiple turns, and then your opponent wins just because he got Anti-Magic Shell, like as an example.
Oh, okay.
it's not great, and it wasn't like skill or anything. Like it's just he got lucky, right? And the problem is also that it's like I think it would be way better if Lich King was a death rattle effect, something like that. I think it's too powerful that it's like a battle at the end of the turn, and you can't do anything about it. Like the opponent will get one super powerful card if he's lucky, and you have no information about it. And all the Lich King cards are so powerful individual cards. You would play every single card in your deck if it was a Hearthstone card. I don't know.
So I haven't actually had nearly as many of that kind of experience with Anti-Magic Shell. Obviously, there have been games where it's just like, yeah, it's super great. But it hasn't been a consistent thing by any means. Like, I don't feel like I lose to that scenario very often. But that could be where I'm playing versus you. Boar, what do you think about Lich King?
I think from Gaara's perspective, if you're playing the big spell mage, maybe it has the most impact there. Elsewhere, I think the card has a lot less impact, which one you get. There's like it kind of balances out over time. Maybe in a tournament where you have like you only play a guy once, and a certain card can be very swingy, but you can sort of play around like they're only going to get 5 damage max reach, so you can try and play around that. Then often they like there's only 1 death and decay for AoE. The impact is a lot worse because if they discard their deck, that's all right. So you can really like just go. It's only 12.5%. Just play your percentages against it. I think it's okay, especially like Gaara said, it's good stats for 8 mana, but an 8 mana 8/8 as your whole turn is really weak to like single target removal. If there's like a Vastbind or a Sap or something, so I personally don't mind seeing it too much. There's like much worse RNG in the game than that, and I think that's sort of an acceptable form of it.
Yeah, I mean, we know they're going to put it in the game, so
yes,
I feel like that's probably better. I mean, it's kind of like talking about Discover, right? Like, go ahead, Gaara.
Like a Death Grip is another example. I know that it's probably because of the percentage it's not so high, but if you play like I don't know, Taunt Mirror, and then one Lich King gives the opponent like a Death Grip, and then you pull the Hard Rocks and you just win the game. It's like it's so no fun to lose to it, and it's like it feels like you play this game and then there's like this random factor that is game deciding. I hate game deciding RNG. This is why Yoxeron was so bad. This is why, like, Draconic Operative was such a bad card.
Yeah, but that Death Grip, that Death Grip is the same as.
You have to draw the line at some point. Like, is it a percentage? Like, if the RNG, like the game-winning RNG is like, let's say 0.2% or 1%, then it's acceptable. Or like, where is it? Like Ragnarok's RNG, but it's like a 50-50 coin flip. Is that acceptable? Like, what percentage are we talking? Because it is 100% game-winning RNG. You can get many cards in many situations from Lich King. Let's say get the Death and Decay against the Zoo deck. It's game-winning.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree that each, so the Death Grip is like, having a Gnome Feratu in your deck, or something like that, right? Against a deck that relies on Hydronox or something like that. So yeah, each of those cards are specific to probably some type of deck and their win condition, or just at least their general strengths. But you have to get it right. You know what I mean? Like and you have a 1 out of 8 chance, of getting it each time. So
and another thing is, I think that these cards that have let's say Lich King has game-winning RNG. I think the cards need to have a drawback, at least like in stats or something, like Arthas. I think Arthas is a great example because it gives you like the Lich King cards, but the card itself has terrible stats. This is like a huge problem for a lot of cards in Hearthstone, that the base stat line is just powerful.
Or you too high.
You can just auto-include these cards in your deck with no drawback. I think that's the issue.
Well, I think counter argument to that is just that I think they have done weaker bodies before, and people just don't play it, because the tempo and body size matter so much in Hearthstone. So we've seen it, right? We've seen we've seen like couple expansions like and that happen, right? And I think the worst example, by far the worst example, because the actual text itself wasn't as powerful, is Grand Tournament. Grand Tournament, we had a bunch of cards that had like weaker bodies because of whatever kind of text they had on their Inspire or whatever it was, and then like Joust. nobody played any Joust too. Nobody played any of those cards. So I think that like from then on out they started putting very like solid vanilla bodies on cards that even had very powerful effects too. And then that's kind of why you're seeing people starting to play those cards. So it's tough, right? It's definitely tough to kind of balance that and because like the bodies, there's only a limit to like how big you can make these bodies. So there's not very many increments they can work with. Like 2-3 versus 2-4, or 3-3 versus 3-4. There's kind of a big difference between some of those, and it's the difference between playing it or not playing it a lot of times. So, but anyways, I mean that's kind of the Lich King. We've kind of gone off topic a little bit. Anything else in Zalae's thing that worth mentioning before moving on here? I mean, the biggest thing obviously is to make your own video. Like definitely make your feedback in a way that they'll read and respect it, right?
Another very interesting is I think he talked the most about Mana Wyrm as an individual card. If you compare it to everything that he talked about, that it was always a problem, and it will probably always be a problem because it is the strongest basic 1-drop in the game, or the strongest early game in the classic set. So it will always be there, and you will always have Frostbolt because it's another basic card, and like Arcane Missiles and the Sorcerer's Apprentice. Like the whole aggro package is always there. And you see throughout the history of Hearthstone, it always comes back. Like in GVG, Tempo Mage was a thing. Like now, Tempo Mage is a thing. It's always a thing. And it's like, when you look at the classic set, how many decks do we have like that? And they nerfed a lot of the counters to it. Like they nerfed the Vorax, which was like a very old school classic counter. You play Mana Wyrm, I play Vorax. And they nerfed that, so it makes Mana Wyrm stronger. And they rotated out, like he explained in the video, a lot of the strong early game that countered or could counter Mana Wyrm, like Hounded Creepers and Trog. We don't have that. This is why also Kelesev is even stronger right now. Kelesev is a very solid 2-drop body-wise. Like a 2-2 is solid right now. Like because we don't have good 2-drops. People play like Amani Berserker sometimes still. Just we don't have good 2-drops. And like especially no 1-drops. So
yeah, well, I guess the question is Tempo Mage or is having Tempo Mage available such a bad thing?
You should buff Mage in different ways and nerf Mana Wyrm. Because because it's such a snowbally card. Like they have the Mana Wyrm going first, you lose to it because it deals like 12 damage to the face, and we have that like for such a long time. I think it's just like a lot of stuff is overlooked. Very similar to Innovate. Like Innovate was always a problem, and like look how long it took till it got nerfed. It was many years.
Well, I think it got nerfed because look at Druid right now. It's got so much power, and it's like safe to nerf it now, versus maybe before when it was completely reliant upon that kind of ramp power to be viable. Right now, I feel like it's just the right timing for it. With Mage, I mean, we took away Mana Wyrm. I mean, the Tempo Mage would just disappear completely, and then what do we have left? We don't have anything left. Like we have Jaina, Mage, which isn't that great right now.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah.
Is Tempo Mage such a problem? I mean, I agree that it's always there, and in fact, like I literally always play it at the beginning, like day one of every expansion, because I think historically it's always been good on day one of an expansion. But it is like somebody said in the chat here, it's like the face hunter of the past, like it's always just kind of there. We know it's there, and we generally know how to beat it too. I mean, it's not like it's not beatable. It's very beatable. So it's not that hard to counter. It's just a matter of, I guess, does it throw off the balance of meta that much? I mean, we'd have no face deck if it wasn't for that deck.
I think we had way better or way clearer weaknesses in the past. Like a face hunter had very garbagey minions. You played Wolf Riders and Boar, Boars and Leopard and stuff, and every class could deal with like a bunch of 1/1s. But the deck was still powerful. It was meant to target greedy decks. Back in the days, greedy meant putting Iseras and whatnot in your deck, and a face hunter just destroyed these decks. And like Zalae mentioned, a card like Mana Wyrm, almost no class can deal with it. That's a problem. Like, you shouldn't have like a face deck. Right now, Tempo Mage is the biggest face deck we have in the game, probably. Yeah, and it shouldn't have like super powerful board presence at the same time. It's very similar to like KLSF decks. Yeah, it's just not fun, and you can't really interact with it. It snowballs. It's bad. Like, if it would be just like a bunch of face damage like firebolts and frostbolts, it's a different story. It's just like a minion that sticks and just does too much, and it's too snowballing. It comes down to if he draws it or not on turn 1 or on turn 2.
Boar, what's your take? You haven't really said much on this topic.
I think the problem with Mana Wyrm would more be because it's classic. It kind of limits the spells they can put in Mage. Like, they can't really put in more cheap, good spells. Otherwise, the power of this card, like, because it increases its attack each turn, because it's a bit too strong. And one thing I've noticed as well is they've kind of gone off the trend of printing cards with +1 attack. We saw Undertaker, we saw Tunnel Trog. They've stopped printing those cards completely. So I wouldn't be surprised to see the card at some point get changed. It is kind of like, we've had Tempo Mage for how many ever years now. Is it time to say goodbye to this archetype with all these core cards and see it change? Maybe. I don't think the deck's ever been a problem deck, though. Mana Wyrm does have disgustingly high mulligan win rates compared to the other cards in the class, which is always a bit annoying when you know it's like they need this one card or they can't win, which is frustrating. But the deck isn't too powerful. It's like, I think it's fine at the moment, but maybe for future design they could change it. I don't really see though why they need to change it right now.
No question, it's one of the most powerful cards in Hearthstone, though. Like, Mana Wyrm was up there, right, when Nixar did his brackets, and I mean, rightfully so. It's been the best one drop for I can't even remember last. Maybe Undertaker was better, but Mana Wyrm right now, at least for a long time, has been the best one drop. So yeah, I mean, like you said before, Gaara, it might be just a matter of time when it's the right timing for Mage, but I don't think the right timing is right now. That's for sure, because I don't think Mage would have anything. Like, the play rate of Mage would go down drastically. And then Quest Rogue, oh my god, imagine Quest Rogue without Tempo Mage. That would be god awful. Okay, well, anyways, definitely, shout out to Zalae for making that, and calling on the community to express their feedback to Blizzard. But we've got a few questions from folks, email and Twitter. If you guys want to ask your questions in Twitch chat, we'll definitely be asking away because we got some time today. But Amaden, our regular, asks, is Team 5 wrong by not having a nerf round, even if everything is perfectly balanced? I think nerf rounds would revitalize the game between expansions, and for them to skip the nerf round would reduce interest for players. Yeah, so I think we already answered that.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said.
I totally agree too. Even just anything, just change it a little bit, and see what happens. Even if it's, to be honest, even if it's for the worst, I think that change generally is still better, like overall, than stagnant balance. So, yeah, it'd be nice if they did. Okay, we got Kasai from Twitter asks, okay, here we go. Here's some talk about non-Hearthstone stuff. What do you think about Stancifka, Savitz, and a lot of MTG Pro player statements about Artifact being the best game they ever played? I thought Blizzard, I guess, would react to Valve's effort, but it doesn't look like it is the case. Tournament mode, I guess, being canceled. All right, so I guess, have you guys played Artifact? How about we start off with that? Like, have you guys played Artifact?
I played
some of it.
Okay, so I played some of it too, and
I play it every day.
We're the lucky ones. You plays it every day. Okay.
Every day.
So
as much as I can.
Yeah. As much as I can. Oh jeez.
It's all I do.
Okay. So all right. Is Artifact the best game you've ever played? So for that first question, I guess Stancifka and Savitz making that kind of statement, I guess. According to him. Do you guys think it's like the best card game? Like, is it significantly better than, or is it better than Hearthstone in your opinion?
That's a big difference if you say card game. Like, I think the best game ever made was Vanilla WoW and Burning Crusade. That's like, you can't top that.
Yeah.
They probably haven't played it. I think some Zivka haven't played it.
Haven't played WoW?
They haven't played it. No, they have not played WoW.
Oh,
That's
okay.
Like whoever played the first 2 years of WoW, they know this is just the best
I played
game
vanilla
ever
WoW
created.
like a lot. Yeah, it was.
But the second best game I ever played is Artifact.
Wow. Seriously?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh my god! Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's super good.
Man, how about you?
I looked at it. It is Mr. Yagut said he played 200 hours. He can't wait to stream Artifact. Echo said the same. Strive Crow mentioned it today. It's like absolutely crazy. Way how they solved RNG in that card game, like you said.
Well, there is no RNG. I mean, outside of the card you drawing cards.
There's a lot of RNG in Artifact.
No, there's quite a bit.
Well, okay, there is. Sorry. I'm thinking of like my definition of RNG is like completely warped now, like in terms of Hearthstone. So, yeah.
I really want to like summarize the RNG in Artifact and how they solve it.
Sure.
Like very fundamental, generally speaking, is. They show you have bad RNG, and then they give you the option to do something about it. And in Hearthstone, when you have bad RNG, it's already too late.
Well, explain that. I mean, that people are not going to understand what the hell you're talking about.
Like in Artifact, you have 3 boards, so you play basically 3 different games at the same time. Like you basically have to win either.
It's like playing Dota. It's like playing a MOBA. Yeah, it's like playing a MOBA. You have 3 lanes, and you need to win each of the lanes.
Yeah, but the way how your creeps spawn, you start with 3 creeps in the beginning of the game, and how those 3 creeps spawn is complete random. You can have 1 lane with 3 creeps, 1 creep on each game board, and it's the same for the opponent. So you can have like both players can have 2 creeps in 1 lane, or 1 player has 3 creeps and you have no creeps, and that is like very important. And you start with 3 heroes. And which hero is in which lane is also random, and who faces what is also random. So, but all of this matters a lot. Like if your hero attacks, if you have like a strong hero and it attacks a weak hero, that is like a huge advantage for you as a player. But you have like the shuffling of the board with the creeps and the heroes in the beginning, and both players see the board state. And then you can do something about it. Like you have cards.
You can weight it on one side. You could try different strategies, right? Like you can try to make up for the difference in one lane, or you can just like go heavy on another lane, right? And things like that.
Super interesting because like both players can interact with it, and like you can prevent his hero killing me because you have like bad RNG in the beginning.
Yeah.
But then he can prevent you preventing it, and it has like many layers.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Boar, what's your take? Like. How do you think of it? I mean, have you played enough to like really, I guess, get a good sense of your opinion on it?
I think, regardless of how much you've played at this stage, it's still in beta. It's far too early to say anything. I think a lot of people are tired of Hearthstone's current meta. Not much has changed since the recent expansion. It feels very samey, and tired of stuff with Blizzards not moving forward. We see no tournament mode. Tournament mode is an artifact straight away. No replays. Replays are an artifact straight away. We see all these things that like we wanted from Blizzard that Valve have already put in the game, and I think it's making players more inclined to want to play the new game, which has the stuff they've been asking for ages, rather than stick with Hearthstone. We might see Blizzard react to Valve and add all these features that we wanted, because they know there's pressure now for another card game. Maybe the competition will improve Hearthstone. We'll have to see how it reacts. But at the moment, Artifact's looking quite strong as a player. Whether or not it's good for a viewer or in terms of tournaments, we'll yet have to see that. There's a lot of way to go, I think.
I think that's the fascinating part, at least for me. You know, I've played it, but to be honest, I haven't played it enough to really give, I think, a true opinion on it. I mean, the only thing I can say about it is that there's a learning curve to the game, like no question. And you have to get past that learning curve to really appreciate the game. Because like my first, I don't know how many games, like it was pretty overwhelming for me, because like Hearthstone's like my first card game. So like complexity in card games is just like, I mean, it's the only card game I play, in terms of this type of card game. So it took a while to kind of get used to, but I think once you start getting used to it, then you start getting like what Gaara was saying, like, you get a feel for what the actual strategies are, and then you start to appreciate it. But for me, like from a standpoint of how the community is going to react, I think that's the part that's very interesting for, I think to look at, because I feel like everybody's going to make a decision, like every streamer, every pro player, I don't know so much every player of Hearthstone necessarily, because I think Hearthstone's still going to be the better casual game than Artifact will be. But definitely those other two buckets, they'll have to make a decision whether to stay with Hearthstone or even just switch over and try out Artifact for a while. And there's going to be first movers that are going to, take that risk, but it's very different than when Hearthstone first came out and we had all these people, first movers. And I mean, I made a podcast right off the bat, right? And it's different because there's already a successful community that's going on. So you're leaving a successful community to go and risk the waters of a new one, even how much potential there is, right? So you'll see people move and you'll see people that won't. And obviously the people that are left behind in Hearthstone will nab up all the viewers that, that still want to watch Hearthstone, while everybody else is going to go to New Waters and Artifact. And, I'm really fascinated to see what ends up happening, like who becomes big Artifact streamers all of a sudden, and how did the game actually does, because you made a good point, Boar. Like, I don't know how viewable it is right now, like you having to switch to each of the lanes, and how do we see the entire game at once, and get a sense for the whole thing. But clearly $1 million for that one tournament that's going to happen, in early 2019, or even like that $50,000 tournament.
There's already other tournaments announced.
Yeah.
There's like one Chinese tournament.
Right. So there's going to be plenty. I mean, the third party support, the third party tournament element to it is going to be 100 times better than Hearthstone.
Also another one, like I can tell already from experience, Valve really cares about the feedback from the people that are playing the closed beta right now. They're really in direct contact. They ask about feedback all the time. So that's like big difference to Blizzard.
Yeah. So like the competitive scene, sure, I think that's going to be, right off the bat, they're focused on it. They're working on it. It potentially could be just better off the bat. Prize money will be better. But in the end, Hearthstone viewers still come from Hearthstone players. Hearthstone still has tens of millions of players, mobile and everywhere. And I don't know if Artifact's going to match that number, so where are their viewers going to come from if they don't match that level of numbers? And that game appears to be more pay to win than Hearthstone is. So some of those things don't line up. You know what I mean? Like they're doing one side of the equation great, but the other side, we're going to have to see how many people are willing to pay that much.
I think the big streamers will generate the hype, which will lead up to a big player base. I think this is a little bit underestimated. Like I noticed this myself. Like I watched like the podcast with Life Coach and Hyped, and it was like so fun to see these non people back in the scene and being like talking
crazy smart excited. People too. Yeah.
But it's like, man, if you see your favorite players, playing the game, it makes you want to play the game more. Like, these players also from Hearthstone, like, Life Coach, like if you're following Hearthstone, like, who it is, but you didn't like interact with him or like follow him for like years now. And then seeing him back in the scene, it's so much fun. Like for me, it was great. And also the same with Hype, like he moved to Overwatch, he did his own thing. And then imagine like a lot of people being suddenly in the scene, which I think it makes it really exciting and fun to follow and makes you want to play the game more.
Yeah, so as Lorette 22 is asking, how much does it cost? I'm trying to remember exactly how the structure. Do you guys remember the exact buy structure? I forget.
So the original game is $20, and you get 3 basic decks, and with I don't know how many heroes you get. I think you get enough heroes to build 3 decks. And you get like 5 packs or something, and then you have to buy packs. And I don't know if it's I know like the price of the pack in game, but I'm not sure if that is announced yet. Probably it's not announced yet. So
I don't think it is. Yeah, but you have to buy the packs, and I don't think there's going to be any type of weightedness to it. Like it's just, if you get repeats, you get repeats, right? Like it's not going to be like Hearthstone now where you can't get repeat legends, right? Like for the most part. So But yeah, up front you're gonna have to pay $20, and you know, $20 is nothing. You know, $20 is literally nothing for anybody that plays Hearthstone right now. But I think over time, like, you're gonna have to keep buying cards because I think they're just gonna keep coming out, right? Like, new cards are just gonna continue to release, and you'll have to keep buying packs for them. But yeah, so you know, I think a lot of people talking highly of it. You know, the open beta is coming up pretty soon. And, you know, no question it's going to impact the Hearthstone community. I think it's just a matter of, like, how much it does, you know, like, you know, which, again, there's going to be some fixtures that stay with Hearthstone, and I mean, a good number of them will stay. So, yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that both games do well. You know,
what I'm the most excited about is to see how much these big streamers can have an impact on, like, the player base.
Yeah.
Like, I really want to see that, like, if like people like Crip and Savage Dog, like really big streamers, they really enjoy the game, and how much that will translate into, like, an actual player base.
Well, it's not going to be just Hearthstone play. I mean, if I, you know, it's going to be like Dr. D is going to be playing it, and Ninja's going to be playing it on day one, and I mean, that kind of level, yeah. I mean, you know, that we're talking about, you know, millions of people at that level, right? If it's just purely the Hearthstone streamers, that's not enough. That's not enough to even move the needle. Like, if you're talking about, you know, mobile is huge. The mobile, like, playership is you know, what puts, you know, Hearthstone on the map in terms of, like, the number of people playing the game. What put Fortnite to the stratosphere, you know what I mean, is, like, availability on mobile too. You know, like having 300 million, you know, versus like 100 million or whatever it is. So, I mean, I think that artifact on mobile and how it just does, and there is no free to play win aspect or free to play aspect of it, guys. Like, there's no virtual currency in the game, so you can't earn stuff like that. So you have to actually buy stuff.
But Valve doesn't really approach their games like that, right?
No, they never do. Like, I mean, I think what Dota
and Counter-Strike, but they're like super highly successful games, at least also well-respected games from the esports standpoint.
They for sure, definitely are. Yeah.
They must be, like, making money.
Or no, it's not. Dude, Artifact will make money. That's not the question.
No. Like,
yeah, it's not.
The approach was never like that. Oh, we want to be bigger than. I really wonder if they think like that. Like, I want Artifact to be bigger than Hearthstone. I just don't get that impression from Valve.
I bet it wasn't that. I bet it's we want Artifact to be a more competitive game than Hearthstone. You know, I can envision that. You know, but,
I feel like Valve really cares the most about the competitive scene.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
In any of their games.
I mean, you can even tell, like, you know, even during closed beta, right? I mean, you know, they definitely were molding the game from a competitive scene, you know, with the things that the team was doing with even the beta testers. So they had a focus. It was a huge focus. It was clear it was a huge focus for them. So it would be a complete fail if whatever their competitive scene ends up being doesn't end up doing well, because I feel like that's where a lot of their chips are right now. You know, like tournaments have to be good, you know, have to be successful. And, you know, I think that we'll have to have a time where there's actually viewers that don't play the game necessarily, but love to watch it. You know, can we get to that point, you know?
But this is like already like they have it kind of easy because like the players that are playing the game, they love the game. They super love the game. But also like the first tournament, it's like a Chinese tournament from Replay. It already announced the invites. It has like half full live coach, dog.
I didn't see it really. Okay, I didn't see that. Yes, where's the link? Link me to it. Link me to it. I didn't see it.
And like you can just Google Replay Artifact.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty.
That's what I mean. It's like you know all of these people already. It's like they don't have to build like a new, you know, fame. Like if you go back to the beginning of Hearthstone, you kind of had to build these personalities first. Like it started off with, what was it?
They didn't build anybody. What do you mean?
No,
they didn't like, build anybody. It just naturally like grew.
Yeah, but it took time. Like we will have.
Did it? Like Trump had 10,000 people on the first day. Like, didn't he? Like,
yeah, okay, we had maybe Trump, Amas, Crip, and Reynard as like known people. But we will have that in Artifact from the start.
Yeah,
we will know. I'm not.
You'll have to steal. I mean, but the one challenge is like they're having to like.
A link.
I mean, they're going to have to move them from where they are. You know, like if they're in a comfortable spot now, you know, they're gonna have to try to steal them basically, right, from the Hearthstone
But
space,
when I look at this tournament, like this is already like so hype. The game is not even out. And it's like, you know, Dog, Frozen, Super JJ, Hafu, Naima, and Life Coach Stansivka.
Life Coach is in it too? Wow.
Dude, Life Coach is one of the top 5 players. I'm not even joking.
She's super good, right? Yeah, that's
good.
what I've seen. I haven't seen the leaderboards recently, or the results recently, but man, that's crazy.
But it's like, you know, all these people, like they're all famous people also from other games. It's like,
well, some of these people have been,
watch. Like, I wanna watch that tournament. Like,
I mean, some of these people are definitely already the best in the game right now. So
yeah,
who's Honey?
I'm not sure, but if you look at like Gwen and you see how few people switch to that, like Life Coach and JJ basically carried the hold of that on the view base, and they didn't lose too many viewers transitioning there. And Gwen is a much worse game, I think, viewing and for playing than maybe Artifact will be. And that was just like 2 people out of a total of like hundreds who are going to switch.
Yeah.
But what's interesting about Artifact is you see people from Magic, Gwent, Hearthstone, Dota as well coming across. Like you often queue into very well-known Dota pros in the beta, and if those people are going to be streaming Artifact as well, you get so many players with so many different sources.
Yeah, true.
That's going to bring everyone together. Well, that's an aspect that we might forget. I definitely think it's going to be a large hit on at least Twitch to start with. We'll have to see how it does after a while, though.
Yeah, I agree. No, it's it's new time, new game. It's going to be pretty exciting to see, but definitely don't want to like get away too far from Hearthstone still. You know what I mean? Like it's the brand new thing. I mean, it's going to happen. And, I think that overall for Hearthstone, it's a good thing because it's just going to make Blizzard, have some competition, and have to just, produce better product, like hopefully they will come out with a tournament mode, soon after. Right. And see how it competes, and they'll have to, maybe up HCT a bit more, right? Maybe some more support for HCT, some more money for HCT. So, you definitely have to make it harder for people to decide, whether to go to the new shiny thing or stay with the, like the thing that's been successful for them so far. So, okay. Well, anyways, that's the Artifact talk. Any more questions, guys? Definitely, go ahead and write those in Twitch chat. We got enough time for like maybe 1 or 2. Let me see if we got any on Twitter here. Let's see.
I just checked now, and the Artifact already has more followers than Gwent has, and no one's even played the game.
It's Valve. It's just the effective Valve too.
Yeah.
Okay, Gotrix says, don't you think 25 new ranks for beginners is too much? I mean, eventually a new player, for example, at rank 50 will face a 31 guy and will be like, what the fuck? Unless they have super long queue times or thousands of new players each day. I mean, I think that's probably a good point, but I think the rank 50 to 26 is probably like 50 stars at most. You know what I mean? It's if you play a rank 31 guy, from rank 50, I mean, it's probably not the end of the world. I tell you what, it's probably better than playing, rank 25 versus a rank 25 right now, like on ladder. So like, if you're a brand new rank 25 guy playing against, maybe it's your 20th game or something, and you play against a guy who has a bunch of cards that's just screwing around, you're not going to have that happen here. Then that's the whole point of doing it. So do I think it's too much? No. And I think it's at least worth starting somewhere. And I think it's not a bad place to start.
Just please change the icons, man.
Nobody wants to I thumbs up that for sure. Yeah. I double that. Yeah.
They won't release it without doing the simulations. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Okay. Prime HS, you haven't touched earlier in Zalae's statement that he doesn't like powerful legendaries because playing around them is less effective. What do you think of that? Would you rather have a higher probability of facing broken cards than having one-ofs? Okay.
Didn't you recently tweet from HSReplay's account about the win rate of rarities, and like legendary cards have like a 4% higher win rate than all the other cards? Which I thought was interesting.
I believe so. Yep. And I mean,
is that too much?
Oh, what were you saying?
Is that too much of a higher win rate?
Oh, is that too much? Legendaries. I mean, that's the point of getting them, right? I mean, this is a business too, guys. I mean, it's like, the harder cards to get. I mean, we have to get people to buy packs, and I mean, Blizzard has to get people to buy packs, and so the legendary cards, they should be powerful. But 4% sounds sounds. So, I mean, that stat is tough. Like I know we posted that stat, but it's like a very general stat, right? Like, did the decks have 10 legends in it? Like did they? Who knows, right? So. It's more of a discussion point than anything else that we posted that. But I don't know, what thoughts on what he said there? Like, powerful legendaries, you guys like them? Are you against them? Maybe that's the better question.
I'm curious what Boar has to say about it. I find it most interesting, his reasoning for it is that oftentimes, like, he does plays, like he decides to do plays very similar to how I do it. Like there's a probability of the opponent having certain cards in certain turns, like a very clear probability. And oftentimes it's not worth to play around one-offs just because the chance is higher that they don't have it than when they have it. And he said, like, so many times he loses because they don't have it. And I wonder, generally speaking, because a lot of smart people are playing Hearthstone, especially on the high level Hearthstone, how many people lose like that, just because they do the mathematically correct play and then they just get blown out by the one-offs. That's why I'm so curious about what Boar thinks about it. Maybe it happens to him as well.
It's kind of interesting with the cards because Zalae in his video was commenting on Sunkeeper Taram as an example, and like it's kind of like, it's almost like you don't want to have a card so powerful that you're just like, well, I just can't ever play around this, let's just pretend it doesn't exist, because then you're not really playing around the card if you never think it exists and never play around it. You're just always doing the same thing regardless. You'd rather have them on a power level where you can make a choice and be like, I might play around this, I might not, which is where we are with a lot of legendaries. They aren't too powerful. You're like, I can play around the potential of this legendary spell doing something OP to an extent, and I think that's fine. Just maybe some of the legendaries might be too strong. Like this phase, I remember when there was the old Raza Priest, and whenever they had Anduin, you could never play around it. It was just pointless because they would win anyway. And you don't want to have that scenario where you just never play around a card because it's too strong. I definitely would say that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, those are two different examples. Taram and Anduin are quite different. Taram, we're talking like two of the strongest, two of the strongest legends. So it's like, it might be just a matter of those legends just being a little too strong.
Just compare that to like DKs.
Yeah.
Exactly. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah, I think they're just generally. I mean, we have our share of bad legends too, right? So it's not. I can't say we can generalize it to legend. It's. The point about one-ofs, like, I'm not sure what I get of that. Like, I guess there's just playing around
because
it, I guess.
Someone has, like, 2 copies of a card. Like, he rather has people have 2 Sunkeeper terms, from what I can tell. It's just like, then you always play around it. Because it's likely that he has it. And if it's just a one-off, you just can't play around it.
I mean, you just change how much you play around it, right? And the question kind of strange.
Right.
Like,
that's how
if there's 2 copies of time, you play around it twice as more.
Right. Like, I mean, the probability is twice as likely that he has it, right? So
every time you make it, you do a turn and half to it. It's like cost benefit analysis, right? It's
yeah.
So you just change how you evaluate it.
Yeah. So Taram is like one of the strongest like class legends in the game, and it's completely a snowball, a snowball card, right? So it's hard to evaluate that one as much, but
like I'm fine with like powerful legendaries, except they're like on the power level as legendary weapons and DKs, because then it comes to the point, yes, if you like, I can't play against it no matter what I do, because it's so powerful that I will just lose the game if he has it. Like,
yeah.
It shouldn't be that power level. Like, he plays kind of the
I feel like they've gone a different direction with that, giving legends a ton of value instead. But you know, like instead of you losing the game once it's played, it's just like maybe you eventually lose the game because, you know, like Floop and, you know, the cards like
the
that.
The most interesting card, the most recent best card or most powerful card with the biggest drawback that they made, which I just realized today, is like the Rogue Legendary spell. The
Rivals Unstable.
Yeah, unstable.
It's a super insanely powerful card, but it has such a huge drawback. But like I faced like Blood, what's his name? Blood. He qualified for NA playoffs. He played
Bloody
like top Bloody Face. He played top 20 legend.
Bloody Face, didn't he get he qualified?
He utilized this card really well, and it's such a powerful card, but it has such a high skill cap. Man, I really hope they go like towards that direction in the future, because they can make powerful. It's a clearly powerful card, but it's not like brain that you just play it and win the game. You really like, because it limits the game. Okay, this game will last 2 or 3 turns, and then it's over.
Yeah,
you know, I really like that design. It's like
it's Hearthstone's equivalent of pushing all in, man. That's exactly what that is. So you just shove all your chips in. It's like, let's go. If I can't win here, I'm dead. You know, like in the next 4 turns or 5 turns.
Yeah, I think super powerful cards need to have more drawbacks. I hate these, like, it's just insane card, no drawback, just play it, right? Like Kalasev. Kalasev, most of the time you play it in decks that where it has 0 drawback.
Well, the drawback is your deck, though. Like,
yeah, but
I mean,
that's right now all 2-drops are so bad that in most decks you can just include a Kalasev, except you play an odd deck, obviously. Like, for example, in Zoo, Kalasev is no drawback. Not really a drawback. There's like 6 good 2-drops, and you can easily cut them. You just play like 10 1-drops instead, and Zoo can live tap turn to like Warlock because it's the best hero power in the game. So it's not a drawback. It's not really a drawback. The only drawback is not drawing it.
Yeah.
Or like in Shadowrock Shaman.
It's a drawback in a weird way.
I mean, it's still slightly a drawback. You can't say it's not a drawback at all. If you could play 2-drop and Kalasev, you would.
Okay, like DKs, for instance.
It's a slight drawback, though. I mean,
like what kind of Malfurion? What kind of drawback does Malfurion have? It's just like a ridiculously powerful card off the charts, right?
I mean, you're getting like +14 for a. I guess you couldn't play this 1 or 2, you know, like 2-drops, you know, type of thing. So, yeah, they're powerful, but again, you know, I think they kind of have to be powerful. You know, like it's kind of the nature of the rarity of the card. You know, like if a card is more rare, and that's one issue with Hearthstone too, is that maybe Artifact will be a little bit different here. It's just that you know, everybody has all the cards. You know, like for the most part, you know, people are building full decks. You know, even free to play, like you're building some full deck of a strong archetype. And, you know, for all the pro players and all the people that are, you know, high on ladder, I mean, we just have all the cards, you know, like we have all the gold that's built up, or we just buy it. We just like pay the money and buy it. So the whole rarity aspect of it, like there's not really, you know, it's not rare in the game. We see these cards all the time, but at the same time, it's like, that's how they make money, right? Like they need us to buy a bunch of packs to get these cards, or else they're not going to make as much money. So to entice people to do that, they have to be powerful. Like you can't get away from that. But you can make it a certain way, though. You know, like you can make it. I don't know. If you made it more like Tyrion, then people would complain that, oh, it's just so good that you're just gonna play it every single time. You know, like and Tyrion's not like, you know, crazy.
Tyrion's garbage.
Yeah, that's great. That's blasphemy, dude. That's blasphemy. No, but you know what I mean. Like Tyrion used to be like one of the best legends, like in the day, right? So I don't know. That's a tough thing to solve, in my opinion. Still a million things to try in terms of design, but you know, I think generally saying that the legendaries can't be strong is, I think, a little, you know, unreasonable. You know, from the standpoint of making money. Okay, well, I think that's the last question, so we'll wrap it up. Good show today, guys. Like I thought this was gonna be. That we were gonna struggle, like actually, you know, like filling stuff this week, just because it's been kind of a quiet week. But you know, I think we more than enough had more to talk about than expected. So, of course, has a lot to do with Boar, our guest, being on the show, being such an awesome guest. So, thanks for coming on again, man. Do you have any shout outs you want to do right now?
Yeah, shout out to my team, Fate Karma, pretty much. And follow me on Twitter at BoarControl, on Twitch, BoarControl HS. Yep, streaming tomorrow.
Nice. And that's all. That's BoarControl too, of course, right? Twitch.
It's BoarControl HS on Twitch.
Okay, yeah. See,
yeah, I'm stuck with the HS there, unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh man, you better think about that HS.
Yeah,
who knows? Like, but yeah, definitely check them out, guys. Gaara, how about you?
Shout out to my team, Tempo Storm. Yeah. Shout out to Valve. I love you guys. Thanks for letting me play Artifact.
Oh my god. After you complaining for so long, you know how many like streamer giveaways Gaara was entering to try to get a beta code? Oh man. Oh, that's so funny.
Can't wait to be part of the community.
Oh my god.
Thanks for both coming on the show. I'm just streaming tomorrow as well. And yeah, depending on how we stream, maybe I host Boar.
Or the other way around.
Yeah, I think he streams always till midnight or something.
Yeah,
yeah, definitely.
That's why. So yeah, good show. I had a lot of fun. Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, thanks everybody for watching. Thanks to you guys for doing the show today. And just as usual, you can follow us on Twitter at ValueTownGG, and all of our Twitters down here, of course. You can follow HSReplay.net at HSReplay.net. Valuetown is the HSReplay.net show. So I just want to make sure you guys know that. And you can find the VODs on youtube.com/HSReplayNet. And you can find our audios on all the big audio channels. So iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and SoundCloud.com/ChanmanV. Just search for Valuetown or search for Hearthstone. You'll find it. Leave us a review if you enjoy the show too, because it helps folks find the show if they're looking for a great, Hearthstone podcast on the way to work. But that's going to be it, guys, for this week. So for BoarControl, Gaara, and myself, ChanmanV, we'll see you next week.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Art of